Peachpaw watched Honey Patch as they sat in front of her, clearly thinking about how to start the quiz. She was near the end of her training. Surely she had this, right?
The herb in Honey Patch's maw smelled slightly sweet, and the leaves were large and looked a little like fern. Their soft voice was muffled through what they carried in their maw. What are the 3 main uses of this herb, and what is it called?
Chervil. Her tail curled around her frame as she sat tall. You can use it for wounds, mostly infections. It can also help with kidding, since you shouldn't use poppy seeds.
Their eyes laid confidently on their apprentice. Peachpaw had proven to be a smart cat with much more potential than even she realized. And the third use? They'd pry, knowing Peachpaw knew the answer.
Belly aches, she nodded. She preferred to use watermint, but it was hard to find in the moor.
Very good, Honeypatch purred, stepping up to put the shovel back into the small stone grooves that served as the storage for herbs. How about this one? They pulled out some berries from the shelf.
Juniper, she spoke swiftly. They were the only berries they kept in the den. They're used for tight chests and coughing. It's also one of the herbs we give to the leaders before traveling to the Moonstone.
That's correct. Honeypatch dipped their head in approval. There's one more use, if you mix it with daisy leaves. What is it?
She thought for a moment. Herb combos were hard to remember sometimes. She sorted through the options in her mind. Joints. Aching joints, mostly for elders.
It seems all the knowledge I've taught you is sticking in your head like a fly in cobweb. They purred, their tail flicking. That's a compliment, they affirmed, knowing their peculiar way of wording things sometimes left cats confused.
I know. Her whiskers flicked in amusement at Honeypatch's elaboration. May I go grab something small to eat? We can continue after.
Of course. Bring something to share if you don't mind. I'll put these back meanwhile, Honeypatch said, their eyes wandering off to the shelf, then far, far off into the distance, like they often would.
She trod out of the den, directly towards the prey pile. I got these cool berries. They reminded me of you, though they match my colors more. Her tail flicked. She'd grab something to eat and then come back. Aw, shucks, she sat comfortably. You want to share? Hi, she squeaked. He looked at Peachpaw. Hey, Peachpaw, he greeted. Oh, Peachpaw, hi, she said, her words now stuttering. He set the berries down. We were just about to share the rabbit. She started to nibble on the mouse, holding it between her front paws. Oh, she hummed. I just finished another test. I think I did well. How's training going? Same old, same old. She dropped the rabbit to share with her brother. Just the same as always. My mentor said I might have my warrior test tomorrow. You know what that means, Raspberry Paw. Me too, actually. I am terrified. Her ears perked as her name was said. That's good, she nodded, finishing the mouse as she spoke. I'm sure you'll do great. I've been watching you two learn, even if it's just from camp. She glanced over at the juniper berries. Oh, these are what you found? Yeah, are they special or something? She sat up. Yeah, are they? They're juniper berries. It's an herb we use, but they aren't hard to find. No worries. That's cool, I guess. I guess, she teased. Her eyes gleamed. We should all go to the nearby flower field. She paused as the medicine cat approached. His eyes widened as the medicine cat entered. She stepped to the side. Oh, Honey Patch! I got distracted.
They brushed past their apprentice, looking at her friends instead of her. Peachpaw, are you alright? You didn't return to the den.
Yeah, I'm good.
Jagged Prowl requires our attention. Best not to leave him waiting. They spoke with finality, flicking their tail over the Molly's back as they returned to the medicine den.
The senior coughed in the moss bed, lifting his head as he heard approaching paw steps. His ears perked up. Have you done the checks yet? She looked back at Honey Patch.
I wanted to make sure you didn't get lost in the prey pile first, as the sun went down. They spoke, and while any other cat might have seen this as sarcasm, Peachpaw would know it was a statement as honest as any other Honey Patch had ever made.
Your cough. Is it dry or do you feel something in your throat? She said awkwardly. Jacob Pearl huffs. Dry. Tickly even.
They padded over to the shelf, looking for some honey to soothe the ache in the elder's throat with something simple.
Their ear twitched. The cough is coming from the chest. She reached out a paw, hesitating to touch his head. May I? He nods, anything to not be stuck in the medicine den for ages. She placed a paw on the Tom's lower jaw, lifting his head. She looked at his neck. There was no visible swelling. She could feel that he had a mild fever, though it may just be warm in the moss nest.
Here, this should help with the sore feeling, they said, placing the small piece of honeycomb in front of the elder. If the cough persists in the morning, we can give you something stronger.
If the cough keeps you awake, we can try poppy seeds too. Sleep is important for older cats. The elder nods, grabbing the honeycomb with his maw and consuming it. Hopefully, by their words, he should be fine by dawn.
Feel free to sleep in your own nest tonight, but send for me or Peachpaw if anything happens that has you worried. They purred, wrapping their tail tightly around their paws.
He took a note of the feline statement. I appreciate you both, Jagged Pearl remarks, heaving himself up, though slower than usual. She thought for a moment. It was whitecough, if anything. Sometimes elders just get a sore throat.
Your observations were good, they said. It may be whitecough, but older cats tend to have sore throats often. Let's get some sleep and see what happens in the morning.
Ha! She knew what they'd say. She fluffed out her fur to warm herself and joined her mentor in rest.
Enveloped by the smell of herbs, Honey Patch curled up and fell into a deep, dream-filled slumber.
They shifted a bit, rolling over.
Honey Patch's paws twitched rapidly, their muzzles scrunching up as they dreamt. With its sudden jolt, they sat up, eyes wide. The mice!
They flinched as Honey Patch jumped awake. Her mind was focused on the elder that hadn't yet returned, though. Maybe he was better? I'm gonna check on Jagged Pearl.
They seemed unattentive to the spoken words, paws tearing into the moss beneath their paws a little.
His crown turned to face the medicine apprentice. She stepped in, instantly hit with a bad feeling with how the other elders were acting. Jagged Pearl, how are you doing? He wheezed once more, having a coughing fit that was worse than the ones before. As he lifted his head, his eyes were noticeably red, runny specifically. Dawnlook lifted her head, her paw still resting on top of Jagged Pearl's. Peachpaw, Jagged Pearl isn't doing well. His cough has worsened from when he got back last night. He grimaced. It was worse than he thought. Why didn't you come back to the medicine den? She squeaked, unintentionally frustrated. Ugh, we can't move you now. He was too weak. I'll fetch Honey Patch, Twisted Root and Dawn Milk. You'll need to leave. He nodded in response, standing before trotting out. Leave our den? Where will we sleep? And what about Jagged Pearl? Dawn Milk's mute was concerned, but the risk of illness had her reluctantly leaving. I'll be back, she promised.
We need to eat all of the mice, they said, looking down at the pile. Eat all of the mice, they said to Jaguar Fang.
Honey Patch! Oh, gladly, he groaned, relieved. Elbow Friend didn't know what he was expecting. She tilted her head. Eat the mice? What do you mean by that? Did Honey Patch had to yell so loudly, though? He perked his ears up, acknowledging Honey Patch's apprentice with a flick of his ear. Had the medcat gone mad?
Peachpaw, they greeted. Then their ears suddenly pinned. I could smell the illness on you. What happened? They seemed focused, suddenly.
Jagged Prowl was worse. It's really bad.
Show me, they requested.
I already had the other elders leave the den, but they may have gotten sick already. He felt like he was withering in his nest. His eyes weakly opened to the two figures entering the den. Pain, he wheezed, curling up in an attempt to comfort himself.
The moment they stepped paw in the den, they could smell it. It was bad. Not to be rude, but it was really bad. Jagged Prowl, they said gently. Can you lift your head up for me?
I'll fetch Poppy. She hesitated. Or Juniper? She wasn't sure. She just wanted to ease the pain. For a moment, there was no response, but the senior eventually attempted to, weakly raising his head.
They looked down at the elder, then lowered their head. Get some Poppy. They did not want to say it, but the only thing they could do for this cat was ease his parting.
They grabbed the dried poppy flower from the shelf quickly. They gave a glance at the catman, but stopped themselves. Honey Patch said to grab Poppy. Where's... His gaze lingered outside the den. Where were his friends? She shook the dry flower, dropping a few seeds into the mossy ground. She stuck them to her paw pad, offering 3 of them to the elder. Lap them up off my paw.
Their eyes showed nothing but kind pity. Give him more, they then said quietly. 5 or 6.
He coughed for a moment before reaching towards the poppy seeds and consuming them, hopeful. More? She glanced over. She didn't say it. That's enough to fully knock out a cat for a few days. Jagged Prowl felt exhaustion creeping up on him, but he avoided it, staying hopeful that he would be fine.
Jagged Prowl, you'll feel very tired after this. And you'll feel much better soon, I promise. They dipped their head before the elder. You've done so much for this clan. It's time for you to rest now.
Peachpaw realized what Honey Patch was asking. Making him fall asleep was the point. They were trying to ease the pain for as long as it lasted, even if just for a few moments. She swallowed, and then picked up the remaining seeds, 3 more of them, and then offered them again to the elder. He didn't know if he was actually crying, or it was some sort of symptom from sickness, but his eyes were watery. Tired, Jagged Prowl lapped the last few of the poppy seeds, laying down. Dawn Milk and Twisted Foot are waiting for you. You'll be alright. Jagged Prowl's breathing slowed as he slipped unconscious for the last time.
They would remain in the den until Jagged Prowl's breathing slowed and eventually stopped. He was on his way to StarClan now. It almost seemed as if Honey Patch was watching his spirit go.
Peachpaw's fur bristled. She silently exited the den. She stayed put, straightening when she saw the medicine cats. Well? The Tom remained silent. She shot a sympathetic look at the 2 elders, but said nothing. Would you like some prey? Not now, Morning Dew, he'd growl.
Jagged Prowl is on his way to StarClan now. He didn't suffer. They dipped their head. I'm truly sorry. There's nothing we could do.
His ears pinned back as he scanned the cat's expression. The Molly stood in shock, then collapsed into a crouch. A low yowl of grief ripped from her throat. His eyes closed. We'll have the senior warriors prepare him for burial. Keep yourselves comfortable. Your den will be ready again soon. He'd shuffle his way closer to Dawn Milk, laying his tail on the Molly for comfort. I don't understand. He was fine last night, just a tickle of the throat. She wept.
I recommend you sleep with the warriors tonight while we prepare him for the burial. And we need to change the moss. StarClan mourns him, too. They looked up at the rain. He was a good cat.
Alright, he'd stutter. She broke away from the group. She watched her mentor linger behind. They're probably telling Lion Star, she thought. Honey Patch, there you are. The warriors were concerned after your outburst. We just wanted to know what's going on. After all, we need to be informed if something's going on, he said bluntly. Lion Star stared to and from the medicine cat and their apprentice.
Everything's alright. Actually, could you prepare a hole by the graveyard? Jagged Prowl has passed away, they said.
He blinked in shock. How? He looked at his deputy. She pushed past, intent on seeing if they had catmint, now that they knew this was deadly.
He seemed to have contracted GREENCOUGH overnight. It unfortunately happens with older cats. They sighed, lowering their head. We couldn't do anything until it was too late.
Hopefully it hasn't spread, because the kit's an elders. He'd trail off, thinking of his kit.
Make sure cats change the moss in their nests more frequently, and we should be fine, they assured.
He nods. What was that about eating all the mice? He then questioned. He sits calmly, staring to his medicine cat, a bit worried, but mostly for his own kit.
Oh, the mice, they said, their tail flicking. I had a dream. They blinked. That's all.
Peachpaw felt sleep dragging at her. She nodded a honey patch, then slipped into her nest.
They lifted their head as the morning began to break. They had no dreams this night, yet a looming feeling spread over them right as they awoke.
Peachpaw stirred, feeling eyes on them.
Laying their eyes on the stirring apprentice, they purred shortly. Good morning.
Hi. They mewed groggily. They slowly pushed themselves onto her paws.
Maybe we should head to the barn today to find some more catmint, they suggested, licking a paw then brushing it over their whiskers.
We still have a few leaves. I'm not certain we should both leave camp if others are at risk of being ill. We want to catch it before it gets too far.
They nodded their heads slowly. Wise words from a young cat are rare, but welcome.
We will find the time, she promised. Let me fetch you something to eat.
They dipped their head again. It had been a day since they had anything to eat, so the sound of food was very nice, actually.
They gave a sudden sneeze. Maybe it was just a bit of dust. Peachpaw visibly flinched. She swallowed. Was she being too paranoid? Citrus Mask, she greeted. Do you know which cats were sent out to bury Jagged Prowl? It was just me and Stormglow, they confirmed. She nodded. Did you limit contact? She didn't explain why. She didn't want the clan to panic. If I recall, I believe I did, they responded, trying to focus back onto when they had done the burial with Stormglow. Okay, please, stay here. I need to see something. Applefern was no stranger to sibling oddly ominous wording, but he'd gotten used to it by now. Of course. Yeah, I'd hope so. Applefern, she greeted. Honeypatch, can we talk? He dipped his head curtly to the apprentice, granting them privacy.
Of course. I was just making sure Applefern was not sick and would not die, they said without missing a beat. What was it you needed?
Citrus Mask is sneezing. Is that bad? Do you think it's just a cold?
I think we should assess all the symptoms and minimize panic. What did I always tell you? They purred. A panicked medicine cat is nearly as bad as no medicine cat at all.
If this is as bad as we think, a simple sneeze can still make other cats ill. We need to... She stammered. She didn't know what they needed to do.
Assess all the symptoms. Get her in here for now, and we will keep eyes on it, they said. This time we need to monitor them more thoroughly, though a warrior will not pass as quickly as an elder.
She nodded. Come. I'm not saying you're sick, but if you are, it's best we catch it now. They nodded.
They immediately stood and patted close, nearly pressing their nose into the Molly's neck fur as they tried to scent the sickness on her.
Do we just give catmint as a precaution? She mumbled.
Their ear flicked. Citrus Mask smelled fine, for now at least, but there was a slight heaviness to their breathing. Yes. Get them a leaf or two, but make sure not to deplete our storage.
She scooped a leaf from the shelf. There were only a few left, and for cats that weren't yet feverish, she didn't want to give them too much. This will taste bitter, but it'll prevent you from getting worse, if you're sick. Hopefully, she thought.
These leaves will help your breathing and prevent you from getting sick, they explained to them, gesturing to the herbs that the apprentice had placed down.
They nodded, taking the leaves. She looked over at Honey Patch as if for comfort.
They should be fine, they said, assuringly to both the sick cat and their apprentice.
She took a deep breath. The air felt thick. I'm gonna get some air. Please, please get me if any of the cats fall sick, or if Citrus Mask gets worse. They had a bit of the taste on their tongue, but dealt with it.
They dipped their head. Clear your head and get something to eat, Honey Mask said gently.
Raspberry Paw noticed Peachpaw sitting alone on the other side of the clearing. She pads forward. Peachpaw! Raspberry Paw! She seemed happy to see a cat that wasn't sick. I'm back! Raspberry Paw! Hi, Peachpaw! You're back! She forgot what she was going to add to her statement when she noticed her brother approaching. She thought for a bit. Raspberry Paw, do you want to come with me on a mission? She chirped playfully. I'd take you both, but I don't want to take you both from patrols. Yeah, sure. Her ears perked up. And I can't come. You'll be fine. I'll bring you next time. I'll probably have to do this a few more times, she promised. And it's snowing now. You'd want to stay here anyway. Okay. See? You're important. Okay, be careful. There might be loners, but since it's snowing, they should be inside. Loners? Oh, gee. She stumbled over the fence, but caught her footing, staring blankly at the sweet-smelling herb. Whoa. She sniffled, the snow making her nose cold. Okay, perfect. There wasn't a lot, but considering the season, it was enough. Can you grab a few leaves? Yep. She snatched one from the stem, holding it in her maw. She shook the gathered snow off her pelt. Catmint.
Oh, that is good, they said, knocked out of their daydream for the second time in short succession. Place it next to the shelf to dry, Honey Patch advised.
Rosebud dropped the catmint as she felt a weird tingle in her nose. She sneezed. They placed the leaves on an empty shelf, allowing them to dry. She let out a yelp when the apprentice sneezed. She stumbled back from Peachpaw's scream. It was just a sneeze!
At the sneeze, they padded up and sniffed the apprentice from head to tail. You certain?
It was snowing. My nose got cold too. I think? She stayed still. Was she supposed to move?
I think it is best if you stay in our den tonight, they advised. Leave the one next to Citrus Mask empty and lay down.
Aw, she pouts, but nodding. Maybe there was something wrong with her that she didn't know. She frowned. Raspberry Paw wasn't sick, and staying in the den was gonna make her sick. She pads to where Citrus Mask was.
Good, they mumbled, interrupted by their stomach loudly growling. I think I may need to eat some prey or I will pass out soon.
What's going on? Where's my sister? Bilberry. She dipped her head. She's in here. It's okay. I don't think she's sick. She just sneezed because of the snow, but Honey Patch doesn't want to take any chances. Sick? I'm sure she's fine. Well, if the medcat thinks that's what's best, then... She's young, too. Even if she gets sick, she should be okay. Can I say goodnight? I'll let you know if there's anything to be worried about, but no. Citrus Mask is in here and may be sick, too. Oh, okay then. He patted off. He trotted over, keeping his distance. She frowned at Jaguar Fang and went back inside. She stared at Raspberry Paw. She made eye contact with the medicine cat apprentice. She blinked slowly and then turned to her nest. Where was her brother? Peachpaw woke up. She couldn't sleep knowing Raspberry Paw was alone. She usually slept with Millberry Paw. She silently padded into the nest, laying next to her. She stared down at her, silently praying.
When the day arrived, Honeypatch woke up with a yawn and a stretch. Another dreamless night, how strange. But they were immediately distracted by the fact that the nest next to them was empty. When they spotted their apprentice across the den, their fur stood on ends. Peachpaw! Rarely did anyone ever hear them raising their voice for anything or anyone.
They looked up groggily.
What in Starclan's name are you doing? They said, voice trembling slightly. Get out of that nest, right now.
Raspberry Paw hadn't realized Peachpaw was next to her, which makes sense on why Honeypatch was shouting. She leapt up, startled. Huh? They arose slightly at the loudness, not speaking, just blinking their eyes open. Peachpaw's fur bristled. She went to speak, but a sickly smell washed over her and entered her nose. She quickly spun around, finding Citrus Mask looking weepy. Oh.
Their tail twitched rapidly. Citrus Mask, they addressed the feline. How's your throat feeling?
Looked at the cat, staring at them. It feels a bit scratchy, they responded to the feline. She tensed. Applefern poked his head into his brother's den. Now that Honeypatch had company, he was a little more hesitant. They coughed a bit, their throat feeling worse. Applefern! She was happy to see him, but worried as well. Hey, Sweet Pea, he greeted his daughter, Peachpaw, with a wariness in his gaze, and good morning, Raspberry Paw, Honeypatch.
They glanced over at their brother.
Don't come too far in. Applefern, she squeals. Finally, more Oh. Sorry, he stammered, uneasy at the sight of his apprentice being bedridden. I left a little something for her. He dropped the hair.
She is right. Keep your distance. They are sick. They flicked their ear and lifted a paw to stop them.
She lifted the rabbit. It was half her size. Thank you. He smiled towards Peachpaw before he started speaking again. A little birdie told me that Stormglow and Rustnose have been feeling a bit under the weather, as they say. I just wanted to let you know, he stammered, uncharacteristic of his usual happy-go-lucky attitude. For what it's worth, I don't think you're sick, she purred, placing down the rabbit. Her gaze trailed from Peachpaw to the rabbit. I hope not.
Stormglow? Honeypatch's head twitched slightly. And Rustnose? They sighed heavily. We're going to have to make more nests.
Stormglow and... She'd barely heard. We can use the spare den, she squeaked. They lay down again, extremely tired for some reason. It'll keep them separate from the others. Applefern placed his gaze on the Peachpaw, pride swelling in his chest. She was always the proactive type. I'll leave you to it, he purred. And I'm so proud of you, Sweet Pea.
Could you fetch Rustnose and Stormglow for me? They said, before their brother left.
I'll do my best, she returned. She munched on the rabbit in the corner, saving a piece in case Peachpaw wanted some. He gave an affectionate lick between Peachpaw's ears before he swerved to fetch Rustnose and Stormglow. So, we move the 4 sure sick cats into the spare den?
That may be an idea, they pondered, then looked over at Citrus Mask. However, I prefer the sick cats to be where we can monitor them at all times.
There's 2 of us, she dipped her head. I can stay in the spare den, or, even better, I have another cat stay outside the spare den and tell us if anything seems off. She was barely tuned into the conversation. She wondered where Blueberry Hall was. I don't want more cats to get sick simply because we don't have enough paws.
Having someone in front of the spare den may be an idea, Honeypatch agreed. I shall consult Lionstar about it.
Bilberry, I have a job for you, and it means you can see Raspberry Paw. He pawed at the frosted floor. He wasn't quite sure what to do now that he couldn't see his sister. Huh? We're moving the sick cats into the spare den. Since Raspberry Paw has been no citrus mask, she'll be in there too. She hated to say it. She's sick? But we need someone to stay outside of the spare den and tell us if anything feels off or if there's a problem. No, not yet, she shuffled. Her staying with the other sick cats couldn't possibly make her better. If it means I get to see her, I'll do it. I know. Trust me, I'm just as worried as you are. But again, she is young. Come with me. Okay, this is as close as you should be, she instructed. When you bring them prey, try to toss it down this slope. And do not let them leave. This sounded cruel. Okay, that makes sense. And once again, if anything feels off, tell me. I'd rather treat a healthy cat than miss a sick one. Okay, you got it. We'll move cats in here soon. Thank you, Bilberry Paw.
Thank you, Lionstar. I shall return to the den to attend them. Honeypatch looked up as their apprentice approached.
He nods, watching the two cats. I'll call the warriors and set guard, he sighs. Let me know when you plan to move the sick cats. Millberry Paw is watching the den for now. He wanted to watch over Raspberry Paw.
Of course, they said, tone more firm than usual, as they walked into the den with Peachpaw. They sat down, hoping to have a moment of calm.
Citrus Mask needs to go into the spare den. She counted on her paws. Raspberry Paw, Honey Patch. Upperframe heaved, clearly winded and catching his breath. I brought you Stormglow and Rustnose, as you asked. Stormglow is... He paused, trying to find the words. Looking worse for wear. His eyes were almost welded shut, filled with tears, his raspy lungs making a horrible sound as his coughing rattled his bones to the core. It looked way worse than the other cases. Take him to the spare den now! Not in here! She shrieked. She cast her gaze downward, unable to bear looking at her deputy in such a condition. Albufern gulped, instantly turning away. Got it, I got it.
Their eyes widened at the scene, and before they could say anything, Peachpaw had ushered them out. Rustnose? They cleared their throat. How are you feeling?
Raspberry Paw, can you get Citrus Mask ready to go into the spare den? She called out. I'm alright for now, but I woke up this morning with a sore throat. I fear I may be catching something. Yeah, she stammers over her words, still baffled by the previous side of the deputy.
Did you come into contact with Jagged Prowl at his burial? They said, cautious.
Or the deputy, she added. She shook her head in the negative. Let's go, she blinked at the feline. Spare den, right? Yeah, not scary in the slightest. Well, just now, but beyond that, not to my knowledge. Rustnose is mild enough to stay here. The other should go.
They watched how Citrus Mask got up painfully slowly. How much catmint do we have left?
Raspberry and I brought back a few leaves to add to what we already had. We have enough for the cats in the spare den, and a little left to see if we can get Rustnose well before it gets too bad. She slowly padded to a nest, watching the medicine cat with bated breath.
Their ears pinned. I shall take some for Rustnose. You take the rest to the spare den. Honeypatch mumbled as they walked up to the shelf.
She glanced over Honeypatch's shoulder as they shuffled through the herbs.
They shuffled through the herbs and then picked up a bit for Rustnose before very swiftly walking back to the sheet.
Something was weird. She patted over. Where did all the catmint go? She swore she laid out 5 leaves to dry, and they'd already had 3 left. But there were only 4, including what Honey Patch had taken. Did we? She went to speak, but her mentor was already across the den. Applefern, get out of here! She yipped. You can't get sick. Mellowbear Emojis is already watching them. Yeah. Sweet Pea, he piped up. Sorry, He looked back over his shoulder at Raspberry Paw, his dearest apprentice. It's been a while. I'll take care of it. Just please don't get sick. He feigned a laugh. Everything will be okay, right? Because they're under your care. Yeah, she spoke quickly. It was a grueling noise, loud wheezing and raspy sounds. He didn't even move his body. It felt like a hot stone in the sun. His eyes couldn't even muster open. Every breath felt like fire. Her eyes widened at the sight, quickly looking away. She didn't like this. She swallowed. Kamet wouldn't help at this point. Here. She turned to Citrus Mask instead. They coughed again, this time wheezing harshly afterwards as they shivered. God, why were they so cold? She placed 2 of the leaves down, stuffing one between her paw pads. She nodded to herself. Raspberry Paw didn't need catmint, right? She wasn't sick, right? They looked up at Peachpaw and took the leaves handed to them. She nuzzled Raspberry Paw's cheek as she walked out. Peachpaw, can I have a word? Yeah. You can't leave her in there. Did you see Stormglow? Stormglow will be gone soon, she said grimly, not able to lie anymore. I don't want Raspberry Paw to get sick like them. I'll talk to Honey Patch and try to get her out. I promise. Please just take care of her. Please. She swallowed and patted away. Applefern, she panted. Sweet Pea, he replied, his voice laced with unease. You were with Stormglow, and he's got the worst of it. Here. She took the shriveled catmint from between her paw pads. Please eat this. I can't have you sick, too. His brows furrowed as he took the catmint into his mouth. He knew better than to question his daughter's advice. And don't tell Honey Patch. Why not? Why shouldn't I tell my brother? His brows furrowed. We're running out of catmint, but this is my priority. Don't tell them that either. She walked away.
They hid something in the moss room of their nest, making sure it was covered up well in the thick bundles. When they heard paw steps behind them, they spun around and acted like nothing was wrong.
She seemed distracted and didn't question it. Honey Patch, we need... She breathed. Poppy seeds. Stormglow.
Honey Patch lowered their head. It's pretty bad, isn't it? They sighed deeply. Let's grab them and bring it to him.
And one thing.
They took the last of the puppy before turning back to their apprentice.
Can we please get Raspberry Paw out of there? She isn't sick!
Just because you care about someone doesn't mean we can be careless. Their gaze was suddenly hard. As much as I want to believe you, I will not risk anyone else getting sick with her walking around freely.
You're going to kill her!
You gave her catmint. She is young. She will recover, they said confidently.
I... didn't... She swallowed her guilt. As she slept, she stirred. It didn't feel like she was sleeping at all. Their voice echoed, as if it spoke with 100 voices. Peachpaw. Peachpaw, wake up. You need to follow the bird's song. It will bring your clan salvation. Ugh. She smelt the scent of Star Clan, but it was distant. She looked over. Honey Patch was still gone. She sighed. The bird's song. Catmint! Right. They need catmint. And she was awake anyway. Oh. Oh no. It's gone. Leafbear had finally frozen over the herbs. There was nothing but frozen, rotten leaves. She swallowed. Her ears perked when she heard a high-pitched noise. It was a swallow. Follow the bird song. Right. Honey Patch.
They spun around to look at the apprentice. Peachpaw?
I need to go. Somewhere.
Honeypatch squinted their eyes, stepping forward as their claws dragged a bit of moss away from the edge of their nest, revealing what's underneath. Where?
Starkman told me to follow the bird song. There's a swallow that's singing outside of camp. I don't know how far it'll take me. But there's no more... She glanced down at the nest. Catman.
Prophecy by Starkland? They diverted. Why didn't you tell me sooner?
You were busy with Stormglow. I woke up from it and went out to find Catman. It's all gone, Honey Patch. It's frozen over. Her eyes flicked to the old leaves under the moss bed, now visible.
Honeypatch's ears pinned to the sides of their head. Frozen? They sounded disturbed.
Why were you hiding Catman? She rasped.
They glanced backwards towards the dried leaves. I was storing it in case we needed it.
We have needed it, anger festered in her. Cats are dying, Honey Patch. What good is it to have herbs if there's no cats left to use them on?
Their fur bristled. What good is catmint if there's no cat left to administer it? They countered, staring at the other cat with fury. What if you got sick? What if Applefern got sick? They nearly hissed.
She stammered. She was no better, giving catmint to her non-sick father, but it angered her nonetheless, knowing there was more they could have done.
You need to stay healthy, Peachpaw, they said firmly. The one who won't run will walk the path of the stars. Honeypatch growled, revealing the prophecy they had carried within them since the day they had gotten their medicine cat name.
The one who won't run? She squinted. Her? Was it her? Because of her leg, right? She'd lost it early on in her training, fending a dog off from an injured warrior she'd come to treat.
You are Windclan's future, don't you understand? Honeypatch sat down in frustration. If you want this, take it to the sick cats. They pushed the captain forward.
You should bring it to them. I have to go.
They looked at her, hoping she would understand their actions were for the best of the clan.
She nodded to Honeypatch and left. Her tail twitched as she tried to single out the noise again. Finally, she heard it. The swallow was perched on the bridge. Once she approached, the swallow flew towards Fortrees. Great. She paused. The swallow flew over the thunder path, and then past the two-leg place. Seriously? She panted. Her heart lurched when she saw the bundles of green. So much catmint. The two legs must take care of their yards. I hope you don't mind if I take this, she purred under her breath. She shoved as much as she could into her maw while still being able to run, and left. She dropped the catmint on the ground dramatically.
It jumped as she appeared in front of them.
Two-leg place. Catmint. There's a whole lot.
Catmint, they nearly cheered. Can we get more? Let's inform Lionstar and take as many warriors as we can.
Yes, she nodded. Russ knows you're better, she blinked. He waited quietly, looking to his new deputy, as he was tired, then looked at the medicine cat apprentice. He turned towards his brother and his daughter sharply. Sweet pea. There are bundles of catmint beyond the Thunder Path on ThunderClan's side of the forest, at the Two Lake Place. We need as many warriors as we can to bring all of it back. Suddenly, a glint revealed itself in his eye, and he was quick to rise to his paws. She looked at Peachpaw. They brought back a sign of hope? Is that an herb? He had never heard that before. I can go. You have catmint, he purred, seeing the herb in their maws. Thanks, StarClan. He gave a sigh of relief.
They silently agreed with the words of their apprentice. I'm going to bring this to this bad end.
We have to go, whatever it takes. However far, I'll go, he urged, his voice showing desperation. I'm fair to travel. If it's for the clan, I can go as soon as we can, patting past to the side. Then go, she squeaked. You really are something, he sighed with a smile. Blueberry Paw, how are things? Citrus Mask is looking worse. Please tell me you found something, hope in his voice. Yes, we got a whole lot of catmint. It's on the way now. Oh, it's here. Thanks, StarClan. We aren't any herbalists, but me and Orker Hill and Flytrap got some. Perhaps they overdid it, but who cares? The clan was at stake. They needed all they could get. Thank you so much. Put the rest of it in the med den, please. We did it! Raspberry Paw's eyes lit up, relieved. I can leave?
They had just gotten done with administering the catmint. They are both going to be alright. I gave them the catmint you found.
I can see you and my brother again. She took a deep breath. Not instantly, but you're both medicated. You'll be okay soon, and once there's no fever, you're not contagious.
You did a very good job, Peachpaw, they purred.
The she-cat nodded. She just wanted to forget the horrid memory when she's out. Peachpaw let out a purr. I need to go organize all that catmint now. There he was, sitting face to face with the spare den. And his daughter. And his odd brother! She rubbed herself along Applefern's side as she passed. I'll see you later! She began to frantically set the catmint on the rocks.
Peachpaw, hold on a moment. Honeypatch sounded quite formal when they spoke. While we cannot travel to Moonstone before all the cats are healthy again...
Huh? She spun around.
I want you to know you have more than earned your medicine cat name. Honeypatch purred. With the power invested in me by StarClan, I hereby give you the name Peach Song.
Peach Song, she echoed. Sounds nice. I'll take it, she joked, nuzzling Honeypatch.
Honeypatch chuckled, then nuzzled her back.